Are you ready to learn the best practices when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant? If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lai. I run a virtual assistant agency here in the Philippines the last couple of years, and I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to assist from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, one of the key things that I have had to really master in the last couple of years of hiring virtual assistants are a few best practices and mistakes that I really help a lot of our clients skip basically, or at the very least be better at than most people. And I wanted to create a whole video for it for you as you're kind of starting to figure out what you want or what you need from a virtual assistant. Now I'm going to divide this video up into probably about three main sections, and then I'll put like bonus at the very end. But the three main sections are what I call the 2XU formula. So when it comes to us working with a lot of our clients, we focus on three main things. One is making sure you're working on the right tasks, or we call it the 80-20 tasks, basically based off the Pareto principle. Out of 10 things you're doing, 2 of those are making the best results basically, and then you still have to delegate the rest and still need to get done. The second part is what we call bulletproof systems, which is basically creating documentation so then if, let's say, someone from your team falls from the face of the earth, then there's documentation to basically get the systems back up even without that person. So it's basically making sure that the business will still go on, and so of course for you as a business owner, it's going to be the main way for you to free yourself up is through systems. And the last part is second brain, or basically going through the process of having someone else take over maybe a few processes or systems in your business, which is of course where your assistant comes in. So on the first part of the 80-20 tasks, you want to make sure that you first, as you're hiring for an assistant, is you assess your own tasks. A lot of the time, especially as a business owner, and I do this a lot to myself, even to today when I'm working on new things, is we take on just a lot. We wear a lot of hats when we're a business owner. So one of the first things that you want to do as a best practice when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant is look at your own task list first before creating someone else's. The main reason for this is, and I describe it in a lot of different ways to people, is when we go to a doctor because we fell from a tree, we first say like, hey, my arm is broken, but not knowing that you might be bleeding from your head, and that didn't seem immediate to you because you feel the pain the most on your arm. So when it comes to assessing your task, you want to look at basically all of any problems, any symptoms, any things that you're doing. So you want to list out the tasks that you're currently doing. Then also starting to assess yourself of like, which one of these tasks can I actually give now to a virtual assistant, and which ones do I actually want to focus on. So for example, for myself, I know my 2 main things are sales and content. So me hopping on calls with clients and also creating content like this one to you guys are my 2 main things. The rest, I've been like really delegating the rest to either my team or my assistant herself. So it really depends on what it is that is a priority for you in your business as well. Next is, as you have that task list, of course you can add things that are not necessarily on there of like, wish to haves, or hopefully someone will get to this task. You then want to start assessing and looking at the 3 main areas, or choosing the 3 main areas that your virtual assistant will be involved in. Now, what I mean by this is, I've said this in other videos, is your assistant shouldn't be a unicorn. It shouldn't be that they're doing everything else in your business so you can't focus on the main things. It should be that they first focus on the 3 main areas that they're going to be taking care of. Whether that 3 main area, the first one is just your communications management, your calendar management, and your social media management, that's it. That's already good enough for them to get started. A lot of people think that they don't really need a full-time assistant, they just need someone part-time. But if you really want that effect of them really freeing you up in your business, you want to look at what are the 3 main areas or 3 main results that I need, or outcomes that I need from my assistant. So for example, for me, I really need a clean inbox because I do get a lot of emails. I need my calendar taken care of when I am traveling, and I need someone to make sure that we are posting consistently on my social media. So again, depending on what your own goals are, that might look different. We have clients in 2XU where their EA's focus is on sales, their EA's focus is on partnerships. That really depends on where you're on in your business and what it is that you need. Next is you want to start, of course, creating your job description. Now, of course, you can use ChatGPT on just writing up like, hey, write up a good job description with these tasks for an executive assistant or a virtual assistant. This will give you the feedback of like looking at that. Does that feel overwhelming? Does that feel doable? And it will also give you the clarity of the kind of virtual assistant that you need. There's two different types usually. One is a more general virtual assistant and one is a specialist virtual assistant. And when you're able to look at the job description in one go, you can even ask ChatGPT, hey, what kind of virtual assistant do I need from this? Or, of course, you can get from the sense of like, hey, I just need a more general VA versus thinking, hey, I need a content VA to help me take care of a few things in the business. So, again, depending on who it is that you need, at least you have the options, and ChatGPT can definitely help walk you through that. And, of course, if you need more ChatGPT videos, I do have the rest of them on my channel. The next thing you want to do is, as you now have a job description, is creating a quick skills test to actually assess applicants as they come in. It can be a super simple thing depending on what those three main things are. So for example, for me, when I had my assistant go through my skills test, I needed her to be really good in graphics. And I also needed her to be really good when it came to communicating through email. So the test that I gave was like, hey, these are example emails of what you'll respond to. Respond as if you were me. And for the graphics test, I just asked her to create a few Canva posts. So it can be super straightforward and simple, but you want to make sure that your assistant can adapt to your brand voice if that's something they're working on. And if your assistant can actually do the thing that they said that they can do, just doing small skills tests for them. Now in the next section, which is systems, best practices that I have for this is 1, create your standard operating procedure database. So what this is, if you have no idea what an SOP is, basically, is that it is just a procedure of how things are done in your business. And the reason why this is a best practice to at least create a database, even if you don't have anything recorded or documented at all, it's still good to write down what you want to document in the first place. You know, it's important that your assistant can see maybe a process or a flow of how you do certain things. So just creating a database of like, yep, these are, you know, the different things that need to happen in the business. I don't have it documented yet, but hopefully that's something that your virtual assistant can come in to help you out with. Next is making sure that you have things documented. Now, it doesn't have to mean that you're going to write down step by step the procedure of, you know, coming from your SOP database, but you can create like Vidyard videos or Loom videos of how it is that you do certain processes. That way it's going to be easier for you to delegate to your assistant later on. Next best practice when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant is to start preparing your tools for them. Now, if you've been doing this by yourself for a while, this might be a little bit of a shift, but you want to make sure you have at least 3 main things. 1 is having a really good project and task management tool. So it's a way for you to easily sync with your VA or EA on what they're working on, and for them, an easy way for them to see what you're working on so they can start, you know, taking some of the tasks over and also just managing a project overall. The second tool that you need is basically a really good time tracker. So for example, in 2XU, we use Hubstaff. So depending again on your needs as well, you could just use a simple Google Sheet just to track their time and what it is that they're doing. The third one is just having a good place to document all of your standard operating procedures. For us, it's Notion, so it's an easy way for us to just have this really big, 300 plus documents inside of one thing. It's easy for us to review and go through, and also to use to train other people as well. And on the last section, basically on them being your second brain, when you're hiring a virtual assistant, you need to be complementary to your personality. What I mean by this is you don't want to hire an exact second brain to you, personality-wise especially. You want to hire based on what would complement you. So for example, for me, I am very much an in-between big vision kind of person, and also like little details. So I'm really bit in between, and I need someone who likes the little details, and that's where my assistant comes in. So she complements me on that. The way that I usually think about it or explain it to our clients is think of it as a gear that you're finding people who can fill your nooks and crannies that can then make the process easier. So if you are a extrovert, for example, maybe you want to look for an introverted kind of EA, or the reverse as well works. But you want to find someone who complements you and doesn't just have to amplify who you are currently. Next is you want to make sure that you create customized interview questions based off of the personality types that you look for. So you want to ask them very based off of like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Of like, hey, how would you take care of this? In 2XC, we even have questions of like, rating yourself from 1 to 5. Are you someone who communicates very straightforward and professional? Or 5, are you someone who really adds like humor or warmth when it comes to communicating. So based on that, based on my personality type, I need someone who's a little bit more straightforward, but at the same time can add humor and warmth as needed. So I need a 3. So again, depending on your personality type, you want to ask them particular questions based on that, because again, this is the person who will be working with you a lot, working with you closely. So you want to find someone who can be that second brain effect for you. Next is create your business mind map. Now I had a video a couple weeks back of how to, checklists and assets of what you want to have in your business. And basically creating your business mind map is having a zoomed out view of how your business works, and maybe writing that out for your assistant. If you have an iPad, drawing it out for them. But it's important to give your assistant the overview of how things work, because that's the only effective way for them to start anticipating things for you, to start taking initiative, to be able to suggest things. Is they're not anymore just focused on the tasks that they're doing, but they're now able to see how the tasks that they're doing is related to the outcome, which is related to the goals of the business. So that's why it's really important that you at least try to draw out what that map looks like for you and your business. Now, a last couple of bonus tips for you as you're hiring a virtual assistant. One is pay fairly and pay on time. This is really essential, and as someone who has been a freelancer before, this is kind of a key thing to keep in mind. Is you need to be, as the employer, you need to be treating your employees as if, how you want it to be treated. So you don't want them to pay you cheaply. You don't want them to skip when to get paid. So you have to keep in mind that if you've set a rate and you've also been able to set when to pay, make sure that you have those two in place. Next is you have to really build a relationship with your virtual assistant. It can't be that they're just a person you're passing tasks to. They have to be a person that you want to grow a business into, because then you just have kind of a person on the side online you've never seen before. You want to build that relationship with them. So again, they're getting that second brain effect. Next is feel free to have a trial period. Like for example, in 2XU, we do have a 90-day trial period. It's a little bit long, but we do try to give our VAs a chance as much as we can. We recommend basically anywhere between 1 week and a whole 90-day program of just seeing what the EA can do or the VA can do, just so we're making sure we're giving them the best chance that we can. And of course, give them feedback. When it comes to hiring and working with a virtual assistant, feedback is literally everything. And if you hold back on feedback, if you're trying to be too nice, you're not going to be nice to anyone else. So as much as possible, give them the feedback of what it is that you need from them, so then they can start working on that. They're not going through 5 years of working on this one thing in one specific way when you really wanted it to be done another. So giving them feedback really helps save you time and also stress when it comes to working with your assistant. And those are basically my best practices when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant. If you guys like this video, of course, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below. Do you have any other best practices? Share it with everyone else in the comments. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those 2 playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!